you hear that? It's important work. Needs to be done. Mr. Joe doing the work he needs to do up there in the sanctuary. I came down here thinking it would be quieter than it is upstairs where there's some other projects going on. I was gonna record this meditation in the sanctuary today, but then I heard the vacuum running in there and I thought, well, I'll go downstairs and do it. Well, that's my fault because downstairs here is directly under the sanctuary where the vacuuming is happening. So what exactly did I think was gonna be different about being down here? Come on, Bobby. Anyway, here we are. Life is like that though, isn't it? Certainly there are terrible things happening in and around this world, and this is not one of them. I just am a little tickled by it, and so I'm sharing it with you. This is your daily meditation for Thursday, February 3rd, 2022. Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to read from John chapter 6, starting at verse 60. Now, Jesus just got finished talking to his 12 disciples and a bunch of other people who were also disciples following him about eating his flesh and drinking his blood. And you got to eat my flesh and drink my blood, or you're not part of the, eat my flesh, drink my blood. It's very bizarre, the things that he's saying. This is the bread that came down from heaven. I'm the bread that came down from heaven. You have to eat me, Jesus says. And so everybody's just like, what? And so this is where it starts, verse 60. When many of his disciples heard it, they said, this teaching is difficult. Who can accept it? Accept it, like ACCEPT. Who can accept it? But Jesus, being aware that his disciples were complaining about it, which is funny, complaining about it, said to them, I'm sorry, does this offend you? Then what if you were to see the Son of Man ascending to where he was before? It is the Spirit that gives life. The flesh is useless. The words that I have spoken to you are spirit and life, but among you there are some who do not believe. For Jesus knew from the first who were the ones that did not believe and who was the one that would betray him. And he said, for this reason I've told you that no one can come to me unless it's granted by the Father. Because of this, many of his disciples turned back and no longer went about with Jesus. So Jesus asked the 12, do you also wish to go away? Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom would we go? You have the words of eternal life. We've come to believe and know that you are the Holy One of God. Jesus answered them, did I not choose you, the 12? Yet one of you is a devil. He was speaking of Judas, son of Simon Iscariot, for he, though he was one of the 12, was going to betray him. I wonder what stands out to you here. This is so interesting. Jesus chose you. Did I not choose you? I chose all 12 of you, yet one of you is a devil. One of the people Jesus chose was a devil. And Jesus chose him anyway. Here's what I think. And here's what I've been thinking about. So this is what I want to share, is that it is not easy to follow Jesus. Do you agree with me on that? It is not easy to follow Jesus. It is not easy to follow Jesus and be fill in the blank. Whatever it is, you put it in that blank. Following Jesus is difficult. And there are things, there are forces, there are competing values that make it even harder to follow Jesus. The really sad thing for me and the frustrating thing for me, and I think for a lot of people, is that the church can never agree on what makes it challenging to follow Jesus, right? The things that I think make it difficult to follow Jesus, you may not agree with. You might say, yeah, it is hard to follow Jesus, but not for the same reasons that you say it is. And that can get tiring, can't it? To be in community of people who maybe agree that it's difficult to follow Jesus into the world and to be artisans of shalom, but to disagree on what the challenges are and what's getting in the way. And that's a little bit of a problem, you know? And so we can either pretend like everything's fine and go about our business of being the church as best we can, or we can have difficult conversations and move forward together. I'm more interested in that second one, having conversations and moving forward together. And those of you who know me are probably going, yeah, that sounds about right for Bobby. That's the second time I've referred to myself in the third person today in this. That's very strange. I don't do that every time. Bobby, what are you? Oh, no, I'm just kidding. What's encouraging to me here is Jesus's commitment to those who are near to him. The freedom people to walk away because Lot's turned back and no longer went about with him. But Jesus reminding the disciples that he chose them and even chose someone who would betray him. So I wonder how this lands on you this morning. No one ever said that following Jesus was going to be easy or should be easy or will be easy. And frankly, if you think following Jesus is easy, you're probably doing it wrong. Following Jesus is hard. And if it's not hard, we're not doing it right, I don't think. Especially today in our in this place, at this time. It's a difficult thing to do. But I'm so glad we get to do it together, and that we can open our minds and our ears and our whole selves to people who are also trying to follow Jesus, people who are different than we are. I think that's really great news, and it gives a lot of hope. It should give a lot of hope to us who are seeking to know Christ and make Christ known and to be artisans of shalom out there in the world. But when you go out there in the world, just don't forget to put your raincoat on because it's wet today. That's all I got, folks. Grace and peace. We will see you next time.